Disco's Overtime with Mike North, right here from Basta Pasta on Channel 2. And what can you say about this guy? Won an NBA championship, was great at Indiana, and on top of that, he's a Chicago guy. Twice at Detroit. I mean, they were known as the bad boys. And he used to be bad back at that time, but he's one of the nicest guys in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, Isiah Zeke Thomas. There he is. Look at my guy. What's up, buddy? What's going on here? Oh, they come to see you, man. What can I tell you? Sit down. First of all, welcome.
Thank you.
I understand you're going to a high school reunion tonight.
Yes, and unfortunately, my high school was an all-boy high school.
So did you call maybe Sean Kemp? Could have some women flown in or something?
I tried to arrange that, but none of the guys were going for it. So we'll probably do what we used to do back in high school: is everybody would go to the place, we'll have a good time, laugh and talk, and then I'll go with them and watch them drink.
That's right, and watch them be silly, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? I was thinking about this today. Whenever people talk about the great NBA teams of the 80s and 90s, the Celtics are mentioned, the Lakers are mentioned, the Bulls are mentioned, but not too many people bring up your ball club, and you won 2 in a row, and you had to battle those teams. Do you ever feel that that team is slighted when the experts start talking about championship ball clubs?
Yeah, most definitely. It's like those 3 or 4 years that we dominated the sport. People just seem to just take it and throw it away. It's almost as if Boston won, LA won, and then they transferred it to the Bulls.
Right.
And I think maybe it's because of the media market. Detroit is not as big a media market as Chicago or Los Angeles.
Or maybe it's because, too, let's face it, you guys were hated. I mean, you were hated by a lot of...
but so is Notre Dame. So, I mean...
Notre Dame, no. I mean, they got a big fan base, though, Zeke.
Here's what happens. I think when you win, right, you automatically segment the population. 50% of the population loves you, 50% of the population hates you, because now you make a difference. And we had the unfortunate, I guess, circumstance of being in an era where everyone loved Michael Jordan, they loved the Chicago Bulls, and they wanted to see Chicago go on to win championships, and we were in the way of stopping that from happening. So, therefore, most of America took on I guess the attitude that they didn't like the Pistons. But basically, it was competition. We went out there, they threw the ball up, and we won. So it wasn't like we were cheating or anything. I mean, we won fair and square. You won fair and square.
But you talk about Boston, Robert Parrish, the Chief, Bird, McHale, the Lakers, Magic, Coop, Worthy, the Bulls, Michael, and you get to the Pistons, you think the bad boys, Lambeer, Rodman, Zeke, the team. There is a definite, it was a different ball club than the other championship teams. You guys won, but you were the bad boys. Yeah, and you liked that image, didn't you?
Yeah, because all kidding aside, here's what happens in sports. They have what they call the labeling theory. And what that is that when you're a defensive team, all the negative labels are attached to you as opposed to the positive, beautiful labels that the offense gets. When you look back at the old Oakland Raiders football team, when you look back at the Bears, the Super Bowl team that dominated defensively, all the bad labels are attached to defense, tough, rough, all the ugly things, and all the nice things are attached to the offensive end. We were a defensive team. We were geared towards shutting people down. We were geared towards stopping people. So therefore, all the labels that came with being a great defensive team were attached to you.
Now let me ask you, you're a very competitive guy. I don't care if it's business, whether you're playing golf, or very competitive. When Stockton got the nod for the Olympic team and you didn't, you played against him and you lit him up. Now, you purposely went out there to light him up. I think you probably told your team, I'm going to light him up. The next time you played, Karl Malone opened your eye up. I think he had, 45 stitches?
Yeah, 44.
44 stitches? See how newspapers always get it wrong. They said 45, you know what I mean? If Karl Malone walked up to you today, would you shake hands with him? Were you mad at him? You know that was intentional. You know he's out to protect his buddy.
Yeah, if he walked up today, I would shake hands with him because I look at that as something that happened inside the court on the battlefield. I mean, we were warriors. We were doing battle. He was doing what he thought was best. It was cheap, however. Yeah. That's the game. If he walked in here today, would I shake his hand? Yeah. Could I sit down and have a drink with him? Yeah, because that.
How about dinner? Would you have dinner with him?
Court. Yeah, I would have dinner with him.
Okay. So you just let the bygones be bygones, even though it was intentional.
Well, that's inside the four lines. When it's inside the four lines, I mean, you know, people.
Yeah, but if he took a gun and shot you inside the four lines, I mean, you know, he came with that elbow, boom.
Yeah, but you know what? Now, if he did that out on the street, which I don't think he would have the nerve to do, then it's different. I mean, when you're outside.
West Side guy from Chicago, you're there.
Yeah, I mean, well, you know, you understand. I mean,
right.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
Right.
You know, when you can go outside those four lines and really, you know, stand up and battle and fight and have. You know, a lot of people can't do that, and by the way, a lot of people don't want to do that.
I don't know if Karl Malone, if you dropped him off on Madison and Central, I think he'd drop a load.
He wouldn't.
I mean, from Utah to Madison and Central, I think he drops a load. You know what I mean?
He wouldn't last.
No, he don't even know what a Polish sausage is.
Yeah, but you know, out on the playing field again, you know that's different rules. So you know, you play by the rules and you honor them.
Okay, we're going to be back with Isiah Thomas right after these messages. Stay tuned. We're back with Isiah Thomas. By the way, if you want to bring a question to our guests, you can at www.cbs2chicago.com if you can't make it. Next week, our guest is going to be Otis Wilson from the Chicago Bears. And here's the question for you. This is from Rohan Soni from Carroll Stream. Why is it that this year in the NBA, most of the talent and big money players are playing in the Western Conference?
Because all of them were in the East. The competition used to be in the East. And what teams do as opposed to trading in their own conference, all the best players, instead of trading to Eastern Conference teams, they'll trade them to Western Conference teams, so they only have to play against those guys twice as opposed to having to play against them 5 times. So all the talent has gone west now.
Let's talk about what you do at NBC. You're in the studio now. Now, you and I had dinner a few years back when you were working with Costas, and I told you that night, I said, you know what? If this Doug Collins guy ever comes back, they're going to give you the screw job, and they're going to send you back. And you said, nah, I don't know. Maybe you did think in a way they were. They did. He came back in the middle because he couldn't coach again, and they gave you the heave-ho, and they put you in the studio. First of all, do you like the studio, and do you think that, in a way, there was an injustice done there?
I'll answer the first question. Yes, I like the studio, and the reason why I like the studio is because it gives you a chance to talk about the overall perspective of the league. I think when Doug came back, you have to yield to the vet. I mean, Doug had done it for a long time. Undoubtedly, he was probably the best who had ever done it before. And when he came back, it put 3 in the booth. Consequently, there wasn't enough time. Me being a rookie and a new kid on the block, you have to yield to the vet. And, you know, if things don't work out with Doug and Bob, or Doug gets tired of doing it or goes back to coaching, at least I got the experience, so I'll be able to go and do another job.
So you still want to do the TV for as long as you can?
Yeah, it's a great gig. I mean, you sit there and you talk about
basketball. What do you get, about $1.5 million a year for that, Zeke?
I mean, you know, you watch the game, right? And then they say, well, what do you think?
Okay. Now, and especially if it's Peter Vesey. Let's talk about, now you got a ton of businesses going. In fact, to me, it's you know, Walter Payton passing had a lot of outside business. You have the same type of track record as far as business. How many businesses are you involved in right now?
Currently right now, the company that we have, which is a VC firm, we are in about 6 businesses. The latest venture being the CBA. We just bought the Continental Basketball Association.
You're a player hater. I never knew you were a player hater. Did I read correctly? The player salaries were cut?
No, what we did is we took all the players who were hanging on in the CBA as CBA lifers, blocking the young guys from moving up. So we told those old guys, you can go play in the IBL,
right,
and let's take the young guys and give them a shot so they can move up. But basically, you had guys in the CBA who were 34, 35 years old talking about, I want my shot at the NBA. No, your shot's over.
You're through. There is a reason you do things. And I got to believe, now David Stern makes a comment about a week and a half ago, we want to eventually have a minor league system for the NBA. Well, I thought the CBA was like that. Would you like to be that minor league system? Because I can't believe you just jumped into the CBA thing without some ulterior motives. Well, I know you too well.
Well, when you look at the business opportunity, here's the business opportunity. Minor League Baseball has over 200 minor league baseball teams playing across the United States. Minor League Hockey has over 200 minor league hockey teams playing across the United States. Basketball is the #1 sport in America, and currently it only has 9, which is the CBA. So the growth opportunity for us from an expansion standpoint, when you look around, like we have a team out here in Rockford.
The Lightning, right?
The Lightning that does extremely well. We'll expand. We'll probably put a team in Gary. Probably look at putting a team in
Can I get season
Naperville.
tickets to the Gary team? I'd really love to go out there. Boy, get me and a couple of my buddies just drive through Gary, get ready to go watch a basketball game.
But actually what you're doing is you're servicing Tier 2, Tier 3 cities.
Yeah.
Basically grassroots America. You're giving them a chance to see basketball again, which they've been locked out or shut out from it at the upper level. Like a lot of people in Gary like basketball, but they can't go to a Bulls game because of the distance. So what we'll do is we'll put a franchise, 2 or 3 in every state that services that state, as opposed to having just one that services the state.
You should have played for the Bulls at some point. You know, Chicago guy grew up here. You grew up watching the Bulls, went to the stadium, watched Sloan and Van Leer. Is that the one maybe regret that you never got to play in your hometown?
I don't know if it's a regret, but clearly it's something that Mark Aguirre and myself really would have loved to have done. I think the way it worked out, you know, probably ended up well for everyone. I mean, you guys got a chance to have Jordan and Pippen, and Mark Aguirre and I ended up in Detroit. We both won championships. You guys won championships here, so it ended up working out well. However, as a hometown kid, you always grow up dreaming of wearing, you know, the Bulls uniform and put number 11 on, but it didn't work out that way.
See, you know what I think is cool? I was thinking about this night. I go, you're a Chicago guy, so, and we're on Channel 2. I mean, you remember Walter Jacobson and Bill Curtis.
What a lineup, right?
Johnny Morris. You know, growing up, you knew exactly who was going to be on the news and everything like that. Hell, you watch Bulls, though, right?
Well, we would wait every night for Walter's perspective, right?
That's exactly
Because you know, Walter, look at everybody out there.
Right.
You know Walter was going to put the glasses on and he's getting ready to rip somebody up.
We're going to be back with Zeke. Isiah Thomas right after this. We're back with Isiah Thomas. And Zeke, first of all, once again, thanks a lot for coming. We appreciate that. Second of all, a guy called me the other day, you know, on the radio show, and he says, Mike, can you ask Zeke this question? He asked me. I said, he already knows the answer. He feels bad about it. He apologizes profusely for it. He didn't mean to walk off the court when the Bulls ended up winning the thing. I've said this a million times. It was a low blow, cheap shot. He did not mean it, and he will never do anything like that again, and he had regrets it. So, I mean, I took up for you. Is that the way you feel about it?
Yeah. No, actually, it was probably, you know, from a sportsmanship standpoint, it was definitely the wrong thing to do.
Right.
However, you know, when you're mad, you're angry, you do some things that you don't necessarily think in your right mind. And if I had a chance to do it all over again, in my right mind, I definitely would stop and shake their hands and everything else. However, I was in my wrong mind. I wasn't.
Right. The Kings were being toppled, and you didn't like that.
No, and by the way, not only were we being toppled, we were being thoroughly embarrassed. I mean, we were swept 4-0.
Yeah.
I mean, and we lost the last 2 games in Detroit, and some harsh things were said about our team. So there was a lot of, you know, anger and hurt that went into that situation. But I still, you know, should have kept my dignity, my integrity in terms of who I was about from a sportsmanship standpoint, and showed some class and shake the guy's hands and wish him luck.
Okay. Now, there's only 2 things that I think you regret. One was that, and I'll never forget sitting down with me and my buddies. I said, there's no way the Pistons are going to lose to the Lakers. I said, you got a bunch of California guys, and you got the rough, tough kid from Chicago leading them. And then you go up and kiss Magic Johnson before the game. Now, I mean, you got to look at it from our perspective.
Yeah.
I said, he's a West Sider, man. This guy's one of us. Do you know what I mean? But do you regret doing that?
No, you saw Godfather too, right? You remember the whole Italian thing, you know?
So it was the kiss of death.
It totally was.
You can bring him a wrapped up fish. You don't have to.
Mike, I kissed him, right? And then it was like,
bing! And he took some cheap shots at you.
And get the cannolis.
Let's talk about your family now. You got 2 children, right?
Yeah, 9 and 11, Joshua and Lauren.
Okay, and your lovely wife. How long have you been married now?
I've been married 18 years now.
Well, I'm glad he got that right. My God, you did a little thinking there, huh? And you're traveling around, you enjoy everything you do. Do you miss the game? Because you know the Bulls need a guard right now.
Well, I miss playing. Most definitely, I miss playing.
See, Jordan doesn't have it out of his system yet. Magic doesn't have it out of his system. I don't think you ever get out of your system. Bird didn't have it out of his system.
But it's your first love. I mean, it truly is your first love. It's a thing that shapes you, defines you, molds you. I mean, you get it in your hands, start sweating, you get to rub it, you feel it, you kiss it. I mean, this is the thing you love. Now, you know, everything else comes after that.
Right.
But if I had to choose between this, you know, when I was growing up, if it was this or my girlfriend, I'm like, hey, you lost.
That's exactly right.
I mean, so it's really hard to set this thing down and say, I don't want you.
Do you know any
anymore.
tricks? Can you do any tricks of a basketball? Can you do a Maravich? Can you spin the ball?
I can only put in a hole. I mean, I practice putting it in a hole, shooting it. You know, I didn't practice all the other stuff that didn't make any sense.
Well, you're one hell of a guy. And I will tell you this, Zeke, you took care of your family, your mom. How's your mom doing, by the way?
Mom's doing well. She's doing great.
Well, all I can say is you're a class act. Congratulations on all your success, not only on the court, but off the court. And we'll see you again real soon, buddy.
Thank you.
Isiah Thomas, ladies and gentlemen. See, Isiah. Next week, our guest, Otis Wilson. On behalf of Isiah, Zeke Thomas is Mike North. See you next week.